Hello students and welcome again to Legacy IAS Academy. We will be continuing with our economic survey series, moving ahead with chapter 3, which is about the external sector, talking about getting the FDI right, that is what is foreign direct investment, how can we get it right. We'll see all that, as well as specifically what has been the performance of Indian economy with respect to the external sector. So first things first, we need to see all the things that are happening in context of the world economy. So here we are talking about the rise in global uncertainty. Global uncertainty with respect to the entire economic policy of the government and specifically the trade policy of the government. So if you look at this graph of global economic policy uncertainty and trade policy uncertainty, you will see that there has been a sharp rise in this trade policy uncertainty, as well as this is also a rise in global economic policy uncertainty. If you see, it is anyhow very erratic, and but however this erraticness of this graph is because it is for a very long duration. It is for 13 years. That is why you see very high fluctuations. All right, but if you try to find out a general trend, if you see, it was somewhere here in 2011, and then it is dropping down, but this frequency is dropping at a higher level every subsequent year, and it has reached very high at 400. Now it further dropped, but again it is reaching, it is over 300, whether it is global economic policy or the trade policy uncertainty. Both uncertainties are very high. And if you see, global economic uncertainty was higher, trade economic uncertainty was at a lower level, but now this has come up to the level of global economic uncertainty. And this is one of the reason for protectionism, or you can say protectionism is nothing but this only. But it's not just uncertainty, is not just protectionism. Uncertainty is you are not able to predict what is going to happen, which deters the investors, the investments, etc., which in turn will slow down the economy. So this has played a very important role. Now another interesting concept the economic survey has introduced us with is friend shoring. So if we see friend shoring and trade concentration, I'll explain. First, let us look at friend shoring. What is meant by friend shoring? Friend shoring means it is with respect to different countries. So let's say there are let's talk about the countries of the world. Now countries of the world will import, export, trade with each other depending upon the prices of the commodities that are in in trade. So what generally should happen is a country X should take raw material from country Y if country Y is providing good quality cheap material. But we are now seeing that the country X is rather taking it from country Z, even though that raw material is not that good, or even if it is equally good, it is costlier. So even at a high price or a lower quality, country X is wanting to take the material from country Z only and not country Y. Why? Because country Z is a friend of country X. Okay, country Z is a friend of country X, and hence this is what is happening. I hope this is absolutely clear. So this particular event in wherein you take the costlier product, you are okay to take a costlier product rather than a cheaper product just because one of the country is your friend, is known as friend shoring. So if you see the friend shoring index, it has been increasing now. It was constant here, but now it is increasing. So this is a friend shoring. Near shoring is also a concept of like that. Near shoring means you are taking it from your nearby countries, generally your neighbor. A lot of times the ideology matches, but not necessarily. Just take for example India. Our ideology no way whatsoever matches that of our neighbors, right? Be it China, Pakistan, or any other neighbor for that matter. You will see that it is quite differing in nature. So near shoring is for the nearby countries. Friend shoring is very important. This is the one that has been increasing. Near shoring is roundabout constant. It went back and it is now stabilizing. Also what this is doing is, this is leading to trade concentration. That is why trade concentration index is also on the higher side. What is trade concentration? What is happening is, earlier I was buying the goods and services from the countries which provide me best, but now only I am getting it from my friends. So I am reducing the number of countries from whom I am buying, trading, and I am buying more and more from the friendly countries only. So what will happen? Just few countries will provide me so many things, as a result of which trade concentration will happen, which is clearly seen with the increase in the trade concentration index. So I hope these two things are absolutely clear. Now the rebound in global trade. So rebound can also happen. Why? 5 years back there were too many protectionist policies. The candidates on election who are winning, becoming prime ministers and presidents, were sort of protectionist. Even Donald Trump was said to be a protectionist, right? So he was in power 5 years back. So what was happening? Protectionist tendency were happening. But then what happens is the presidentship or the prime ministerialship, all this change, the government change, the policy change. So these are the things that keep changing. That is why I say liberalization, when you talk about it, has been continuously increasing in the world in general. But when you talk about globalization, there is an abstract, frequency up and down of globalization depending upon whether the policy is favoring it or not favoring it. So as far as rebound is concerned, the protectionist policies sort of reduce, as a result of which we see a rebound, means a bounce back of the global trade. Now let's focus on India now. So India's merchandise trade, if you talk about India's merchandise trade, the deficit, merchandise trade means the export of merchandise and the import of merchandise. So if you can see, export of merchandise has been consistently lower than the import of merchandise. That means what? There will be a merchandise trade deficit, which is clearly visible. So it was in the range of 191, but it went to 265. It is on the very high side, 241, 190. So it was coming down from 265 to 41 to 190. But again, this year it has gone up. Right. Now we will see why this has happened. If you look at the trend in the textile exports, we are doing considerably good. India has historically done considerably good, but so we can see there is a good scenario over here. Here it was high, but during the COVID time, this is the COVID period that we fell down, and then we have again lifted it back up and doing well again. However, we are still facing challenges. What challenges are we facing in the textile sector? In textile sector, the challenges that we are facing is of supply chain and logistics management. What happens is, cotton is grown in, let's say, Gujarat or XYZ state. Then this cotton comes all the way, economic survey mentions this cotton comes all the way to various South Indian states and gets converted into yarn. And this yarn goes back to the state of Gujarat and Maharashtra and other states and is weaved into cloth. So what is happening from the states of Central and North India coming to South India, and then going back again to Central and North India, and then getting ready and prepared and exported. So what happens? It increases the cost of our apparel and textile outputs. And this has to compete with the countries like China and Vietnam, where sweatshops are there, very cheap goods are created. So we need to improve the logistics and supply chain management of the textile industry in order to bring down the price and hence further increase in the value. Now, one more thing that has happened is the decline of cotton. The utilization of cotton has declined from 68 to 22%. Now, this is a huge time period of over 60-70 years. But if you can see, there has been a continuous decline only with respect to cotton. Why? Because of the man-made artificial fibers that are coming up. So if you look at the man-made artificial fiber, it has consistently gone up. Okay. Now, and of course, with respect to cotton, there are a lot of vagaries of nature which affect it. It needs over 100 days of continuous sunlight. Slight amount of rain at a wrong time can destroy the crops of cotton. So all these things are also an issue. Now, trend in net services receipts. India does very well when it comes to trade in services. We are a surplus. We are surplus when it comes to trade in services. So if you look at it, services exports. So exports have been high always and imports have been low. So net services receipt, if you see, is always in surplus. There have been a decline and it has stabilized, but further we need to increase it. This would be due to recent, as they say, the economy slowdown, the job recession, all those things have, many people have lost the job. That impact can be clearly seen over here. Now, when we talk about the current account deficit, so we have tried to keep it lower, and if you can see the trend, this has been the current account deficit. So we are doing quite well when it comes to current account deficit. Now, trend in the gross FDI inflows. So how much of total foreign direct investment is coming to India? We have to see. The year of 2022 was the one wherein we had highest amount of gross FDI inflows. India was, India has been in the top countries for that. However, in this April-November 23, this is just the comparison of 3 quarters. That is why the numbers are slow. We cannot compare the entire year of last year with respect to 3 quarters of this year. That is why economic survey gives you 3-quarter performance of the previous fiscal with respect to 3-quarter performance of the present fiscal. So we are doing well in this as well. Now, trends in foreign portfolio investment. Now, what is the difference between foreign direct investment and portfolio investment? Portfolio investment is considered to be indirect. Direct investment is an investment of 10% or more in any public listed enterprise is a foreign direct investment. Less than that is a foreign indirect investment. So, if you look at this chart, if you talk about the investment flow has been up and down throughout the period, throughout the 1.5 year period that you can talk about. Now, India's external debt position. India has a lot of debt on which it pays a lot of interest, of course. So if you look at India's debt position, but mind you that this debt position, even though it may be on the higher side compared to the Western world, it is quite low. It is many times low. We stand alone out of context may think it's more, it is increasing, but in context with the Western world, of course, it is on the lower side. So external debt of India, of course, has continuously increased, right? But this increase is cumulative with respect to the quantity, the amount. But if you look at the increase with respect to the percentage of GDP, it has sort of remained stable, means GDP has also kept on increasing, so external debt is increasing. So as a percentage of GDP, it is sort of remaining constant. I hope that's absolutely clear. Now, what are the budgetary provisions which the government has come up with for improving the investment? Number one, very important, 100% FDI is now allowed in the insurance sector. Earlier it was 74%. From 74 we have now increased to 100%. Plus, there will be further relaxation of foreign investments, the rules and guidelines of which the government will be presenting shortly, in the coming days. And there will be states investment friendliness index. Now, this index is majorly dealing with the domestic investment with respect to different states, but even that improved performance or the comparison will give the outsiders also an attraction that this state is doing so exceptionally well. So in India, at least, can I invest in this state? So indirect benefit can be present there as well. So this is all about the foreign direct investment or the investment performance in India and what the budget has provided for its provision. Now stay tuned for the upcoming chapter 4, which is going to be very interesting, in which we will see inflation, why it is happening and what can be done about it. Thank you.